Thank you very much. Mani ngā putni gani yakana. These are words from the language of the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains. They're words of welcome, and they also say it is good that we are meeting today on their traditional lands. And I speak these words as an act of recognition and respect for the Kaurna people and their culture, and also to acknowledge that we are indeed gathered together today on their traditional lands. And you might well ask, why are we here today? I don't ask that as a rhetorical question. It's not why have we bothered to turn up, but why is it necessary to come together to show our support for science? Research and polls have consistently shown that the vast majority of Australians think that science is a bloody good idea, that more science and evidence-based thinking should be injected into public policy, and that they also approve of providing adequate support to make scientific research happen. But of late there have been emerging anti-science subcultures that actively denigrate and challenge some aspects of science. And those minor but loud voices have been catching the ears of some of our societal leaders, both politicians and business, religion and other positions of influence. So we are here today to raise our voices in support of science, to drown out the dark murmurings from the fringes, and we are here today with three simple but powerful goals. Firstly, we call out for a respect for the science and the researchers who conduct science across the nation. I've met thousands of scientists during my career as a science communicator. A huge diversity of scientists, from Nobel laureates right the way through to undergraduate students across every conceivable discipline and area of research. And every last one of them is united by a common feature. They do their research because they love it and because they realise the importance of their research to our society. Of all of those scientists that I've met, not one of them is doing it for the money. No one goes into science for the money. They are united in their understanding that science is the best grip on reality that we've got. And if we don't investigate and understand the world around us with the meticulous detail of the scientific method, we will miss problems that threaten our very existence, and we will not have the tools with which to solve those problems. If we don't know how the real world works, we cannot come up with the technological advances that have made our modern society possible. So the scientists of Australia, quietly weavering away out there, out of sight in their laboratories or in the field, measuring and monitoring, observing and hypothesising, so that they can tell us more about what's actually happening and how reality is structured. Perhaps it's because of that unseen nature of most scientific research that scientists do not feel they've got the respect and recognition that they deserve. They do not present to us another opinion about what they think's going on within the mechanics of this thing that we call life. They are the only ones who can actually tell us what cogs and coils are inside that machine, how they operate, what they do, and how the operations of the mechanics of life affect each and every one of us. So science would appreciate the respect of having their findings and work taken seriously, and it forming the foundation of so much public policy. And if anyone can innovate a way of turning pages more conveniently, I would be very much appreciated.
An iPad.
Yeah, in vouching for Apple there, that's non-partisan behaviour. Now that neatly brings me to the second goal of today's rally, and that is to raise levels of awareness of what scientists do and what science means. This is the proposition of science literacy. We must strengthen school education at every level so that the next generation have a better understanding, not just of the facts and figures of science, but also how science works and what it means to have a rational world view. We must encourage more tertiary students into science, technology, engineering and maths, the so-called STEM subjects, which have proved to be the seedbed for innovation and technological advances that we're going to need into the future. How can we expect our political leaders to make informed decisions informed by science when so many of them are aware of what science is? Currently in Canberra, less than 1 in 4 MPs have any formal education or experience in science. We hope that a more scientifically literate society will be the one that does not cherry-pick which bits of science they like, while rejecting or ignoring the rest. Science is a bulk package. You cannot, for example, accept the science of climate change and reject the science around the safety of vaccinations, or the safety of GMOs, or the safety of the nuclear fuel cycle. Policy must not be made by choosing the endpoint you want to get to and then shoehorning in the bits of science that you can use to buttress that conclusion. We must build public policies by looking at all the evidence before us before proceeding to a conclusion of action. Perhaps with increased scientific literacy, our community decision makers, both inside and outside of politics, will not be swayed by conspiracy theories and nonsensical alternative facts. There are no alternatives to reality, no matter how emotionally or economically appealing they may be. So raising the awareness of what science is and what science is not is our second goal of gathering here today. And this is the domain that's actually occupied much of my life's work and continues on Australia's Science Channel. Google it when you get home, tune in and increase your own awareness of the amazing diversity and relevance of Australasian science. The third goal is to call for the sustained and egalitarian support of scientific research. Successive governments have cut funding to the CSIRO, the ARC and other funding bodies, and have picked favourite by deep funding areas of science that they do not understand. And equally in the spotlight here is the business community of Australia. Whereas many comparable nations in the OECD have a 20 to 80% ratio of research funding from government and business respectively, in Australia this ratio is reversed. Industry and business sectors must pick up their game and increase their contributions to the national research effort. We must find a way to reliably fund research and researchers conducting long-term research. We must provide well-structured and well-remunerated career paths in research, and we must grow the pot of funds available for research. We are currently down on the OECD rankings, by the way, as the percentage of gross national product that we put into scientific research. That must be redressed. So these three goals, ladies and gentlemen, respect, understand and support, they're intimately entwined. Science can do so much for the future of Australia if only Australia will let it do so. But the alternative path, to ignore, to dismiss, deride and defund science, is a very dangerous path to take. It is unthinkably dangerous. So we're gathered here today to call on our society and our civic leaders to respect, understand and support the endeavours of science. Do not cave in to popular myths or the fringe agendas of conspiracy theorists. Our future as Australians and as a species depend on us understanding what's going on in the world and what we can do about it. Our future depends on us listening to, respecting and supporting science. Thank you very much for coming along today, ladies and gentlemen.